What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we're going to take a look at all 16 of the new V Pokemon that are coming out in the next Sword and Shield Pokemon TCG set, which is Rebel Clash, coming out on May 1st, and it will be available on ptcgo via code cards on April 30th. Don't forget to head on over to potownstore.com for all of your PTCGO code needs. Use code CELIO for 5% off on their wide variety of PTCGO codes. We're going to start out with the V Pokemon that also have a V Max version in the set. And if you have not already watched my video talking about all of the V Max Pokemon, you can check that out. The link is in the description down below. First up, we've got Cinder Ace V, 210 HP, it's a fire Pokemon, and of course it is a basic Pokemon. Its ability, Field Runner, allows it to retreat for free if there is any stadium card in play, yours or your opponent's, and then it has the Crimson Leg attack for 140 damage for 3 fire energy. So the ability is nice that it can retreat if there's a stadium card in play, but overall this is an underwhelming card, and it's that way because it does have a VMAX version. So all of the V Pokemon we're looking at that have VMAX versions, it's kind of expected for them to be a bit underwhelming since they have a stronger evolution. Next, we've got Inteleon V, 200 HP water Pokemon. Its sharp shooting attack is actually very good. For 1 water energy, you can do 40 damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon, and then its Aqua Report for 2 water and a colorless 130. Your opponent reveals their hand. Hopefully, we won't be using Aqua Report. We are going to want to have evolved into Inteleon VMAX by then, but its sharp shooting attack is actually very nice to allocate 40 damage somewhere. Especially since Inteleon VMAX's attack does 60 damage to the bench. The next Pokemon V here is Rillaboom V. This is the last starter V Pokemon. 220 HP Grass-type Pokemon. It has the Forest Banquet attack for a Grass energy. Search your deck for 2 Grass basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, which is pretty solid. Now, ideally, you would attack with Exeggutor Rowlet on turn 1 with a Grass deck to evolve up to your Rillaboom stage 2. But Forest Banquet is also an okay attack to get 2 Grass Pokemon to the bench. Maybe if you're playing a rare candy variant to get out the Rillaboom, this would be better. And then it has the Wood Hammer attack for Grass colorless to do 220 damage and 30 damage to itself. And that's not a bad chunk of damage. Although Zacian V, which has 220 HP, is resistant to Grass, so that would not one-shot Zacian V, unfortunately. Next, we have Rajah V, Metal Pokemon, 220 HP. The Adamantine Press attack does 90 damage for 2 metal and a colorless, and during your opponent's next turn, any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks is reduced by 30. Since you can have Metal Frying Pan and Lucario Melmetal's Full Metal Wall GX effects, that's actually a pretty decent attack. Reduced by 30, Metal Frying Pan reduced by another 30, Full Metal Wall GX reduced by another 30, and you're dealing 90 damage, and then Beaten does 180 for 4 energy. Now, of course, this Pokemon, like the last 3 we looked at and the next 3 we looked at, all have a VMAX form, which is the form we're looking to evolve into and start attacking with, but this is a pretty decent V Pokemon. We have Dragapult V here. It is a Psychic type 210 HP V Pokemon with Bite for 30 for a Psychic energy, and then Assault Jet, which does 60 plus for 2 Psychic energy. And the plus is if this Pokemon was on the bench and became your active Pokemon this turn, this attack does 80 more damage. So it can do 140 for 2 Psychic energy, which is pretty solid, especially since Zamazenta V stops damage incoming from VMAX Pokemon. So if you had to attack with Dragapult V instead of Dragapult VMAX against the Zamazenta V, then Assault Jet actually does a pretty decent chunk of damage at its max output of 140 damage. Our next Pokemon V is Malamar V, Dark type 210 HP. It has the attack Drag Off for Dark and a colorless, which switches your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. You choose which benched Pokemon, and then it does 30 damage to the new active Pokemon, which is a pretty good attack, so you can bring up something maybe they don't want active, damage something they didn't want damaged. It's kind of like a pseudo gust effect, and then you're doing 30 damage to it, which is nice. It's decent enough. And then you also have the Brain Shake attack, Dark Colorless, for 130 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. Kind of a meh attack that you would expect to see on a V Pokemon, which has a VMAX evolution. The last V Pokemon that has a VMAX evolution in this set that we're looking at is Toxtricity V, Lightning type, 210 HP. It has the Poison Jab attack, which deals 20 damage for a lightning energy, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. This is nice because it sets up for the poison damage on the VMAX Toxtricity. And then the Electric Riot attack, Lightning Colorless, 90 plus 90 more if the defending Pokemon is poisoned. Actually a very good attack for a V Pokemon, let alone its VMAX Pokemon has, its VMAX form has a much stronger attack. So Toxtricity V and all of the 7 Pokemon that we've looked at so far have VMAX forms in this set, and if you've not already watched my video on all of the VMAX cards in Rebel Clash, be sure to check that out. The link is in the description down below. Next, we're going to take a look at 2 Pokemon V, which were released as promo cards in Japan, and we are now getting them in our Rebel Clash set. They're kind of underwhelming as far as most of the V Pokemon go. So they're kind of letdowns, and I just wanted to get them out of the way here. So we have the Ice-Cube V. It's a water Pokemon with 210 HP. The ability Cold Absorption. When you attach a water energy from your hand to this Pokemon during your turn, heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. And then it has the Blizzard attack, 120 for 3 energy, and this attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So the Cold Absorption ability that lets you heal 30 damage when attaching a water energy, it's not that great since Ice-Cube only has 210 HP in a format where Pokemon are usually hitting more than 200 HP. You got Zacian V swinging for 230 before Alter Creations effects. You have Rillaboom VMAX hitting a lot of damage. Reshizard hitting a lot of damage. Toxtricity VMAX, Pikarom. The amount of Pokemon that are hitting more than 200 HP is plentiful. So tanking with Ice-Cube V and then healing it with like switch to your bench and attach energy with Frostmoth. I see what they're going for here, but I just don't think this would ever turn out to be anything good. And then the Blizzard attack, 120, 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It's nice to set up damage later on, especially if you're playing with like a Alolan Sandslash GX. This could be a very nice setup for that Pokemon. But this Pokemon is average at best, and I'm not even sure I would call it average. And then next we have the Pinurchin V. Lightning type, 170 HP, which is very low for a V Pokemon. And then it has the ability Counterattack Spark. When this is your active Pokemon and receives damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you may flip 3 coins for each heads, put 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So this ability is pretty cool, I'll give it that. But this is a V Pokemon, so do you really want to switch into a Pokemon V, which rewards 2 prizes when knocked out, just to maybe deal some damage to your opponent for them hitting it? Now it is when it receives damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon. I would imagine that that counts if it's knocked out by that damage, so it doesn't have to be knocked out to do this ability. You can just get hit by any amount of damage while it's active, and you flip the 3 coins to put a maximum of 9 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So that's pretty decent, but I'm not really sure you'd want to like hit and switch with like a Morpeko V or a Hitmonchan to go into this Pokemon that can potentially reward your opponent for 2 prizes and not even give you a guaranteed payoff for getting hit. And then it does have the Sparking attack, 120 for 3 energy, very underwhelming. Everything about this card is kind of underwhelming. Like I said, I like the ability. I really do like the ability, but on a V Pokemon of only 170 HP with a very bad attack, I'm not sure that it could really amount to anything in the competitive scene. So we've gotten through all of the Pokemon V that have VMAX forms and these 2 promos in Pinurchin V and Ice-Cube V. So now on to the rest of the Pokemon V in Rebel Clash. We've got Eldegoss V coming in with the ability Happy Match. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be Happy March. Not sure if this translation will even be accurate when it comes out in English. Many of the abilities are changed when they come out in English. Also, I'll take this chance to shout out limitlesstcg.com for the scans and the translations. Eldegoss V is a grass Pokemon with 180 HP. The ability Happy Match, when you put this card onto your bench from your hand during your turn, you may put a supporter card from your discard pile and put it into your hand. So the translation might be a little wonky there, but basically it's a Versus Seeker when you play it onto your bench. So you play it down from your hand, you get any supporter card from discard pile to your hand. This is very strong. It'll see a lot of play in standard format. I don't think it's as good as the Dene GX, since the Dene GX gets you 6 cards for playing it down, and Eldegoss V, you have to play it down, search it out. It takes up a bench spot, and you're just getting a supporter card, but once a game, getting a supporter card back, like a Boss's Order or a Professor's Research to draw 7 cards, can be very, very strong. And then it has the Soar attack for 50. You may shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck, so maybe if your opponent's active Pokemon has 50 damage or less left on them, to knock them out, you could use Soar to clear up a bench spot, get this easy target off of your board, make room for playing it again even. So Eldegoss V, a very good card. We'll definitely be seeing this a lot in the standard format. Next, we've got Ninetales V, 200 HP Fire-type Pokemon. It has the Tail Shape-Shifting attack for Fire Colorless. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. And then it has the Flamethrower, Fire, and 3 Colorless Energy for 180. Discard an energy attached to this Pokemon. Flamethrower is not very impressive, but Tail Shape-Shifting is a very good attack since you can copy any attack from your opponent's active Pokemon and use it as this attack. Ninetales V will definitely be finding its way into most fire decks, namely any fire deck that plays Welder, and that's probably every fire deck, so I do expect Ninetales V to see a bit of play. Next, we've got Milotic V, 210 HP Water-type Pokemon with 2 attacks. It has a Hypno Splash for a Water and 3 Colorless that does 150 damage and puts the active Pokemon to sleep, which is not amazing. It's an okay supplemental attack if you need to use it, but the good attack we're looking at here is Aqua Impact, which for Water Colorless does 10 damage plus 50 more for each energy cost in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat. So a Pokemon like Arceus, Dialga, a tag team that has 3 retreat cost, that would do 160 damage to it. And we have a Galar Mine in play, which is a new stadium card in Rebel Clash that increases all retreat costs by 2. Then you would be doing 260. And if we had an Absol from Team Up in play, which increases your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost by 1 if they're basic, then we would do 310 damage to the ADP, which would knock it out. So just one instance of doing a lot of damage and one-shotting a 3-prize Pokemon, just to show you that Aqua Impact can rack up to pretty high numbers, but you're also relying on the Pokemon your opponent's playing. So if you're up against like a Pikarom deck that has Zeraora GX, which makes all of your Pokemon have no retreat cost if they have a Lightning energy attached, then you'd be in trouble if Aqua Impact is your only game plan. So Milotic V is pretty cool. I can see it seeing play, but it doesn't seem absolutely incredible. It's pretty good. It should see some play, but it definitely has its issues. Next, we have a pretty interesting V Pokemon in Phalanx V, which is a fighting type Pokemon with 160 HP. 160 is pretty low for a V Pokemon, but it has the ability Iron Wall Formation. All damage done to your Pokemon with Phalanx in their name, done by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon, is reduced by 20. So if you have 4 of this Phalanx V in play, then all of your opponent's damage done to your Phalanx is reduced by 80, which is pretty solid. And then it has the Giga Impact attack, 3 energy to do 210, which is also a great number, especially since the Diancie Prism's still in the format, and you could do 230 with the Diancie in play. Martial Arts Dojo is still in the format as well, so you have some nice fighting type support, as well as a non-V Phalanx that has come out that can also support this Phalanx V. So a nice amount of support for this Phalanx archetype. It seems like at the very least, it might be a fun archetype to play. I'm not sure exactly how competitive it will be. I have not worked with it yet, but I see some of the gears turning to make Phalanx V at least pretty decent. Next up, we have got Boltund V, one of the V Pokemon I've actually seen a lot of hype for. 200 HP Lightning type. It has the Electrify attack for a Lightning Energy. Search your deck for 2 Lightning Energy and attach them to your benched Pokemon in any way you like, then shuffle your deck. Very, very solid setup attack. And then the Lightning Storm attack, which is Lightning colorless, to do 30 more damage times the amount of Lightning Energy attached to all of your Pokemon with a base damage of 10. So if you have, let's say, 7 Lightning Energy attached to all of your Pokemon combined, which isn't hard with the Electrify ability, or the Electrify attack, and Tapu Koko Prism's ability, Lightning Storm for 7 energy on your whole board would do 220, and that's before you include Electro Powers and whatnot. So there is a lot of lightning support, so whenever you see even a decent lightning Pokemon, you have to think, can this be competitive? And I definitely think Boltund V will be in Pikarom. I think it will be in Toxtricity VMAX, and it might even have some decks of its own. Next, we've got a bit of an underwhelming one in Santacon Devii. It has 220 HP, it is fighting type, so it gets things like Martial Arts Dojo and DNC, so maybe it could be okay. And there's also the new Colossal Pokemon coming out in this set, which can accelerate fighting energy. We have the first attack, which just is called Sand in the translation. For fighting energy, it does 30, and you attach a fighting energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon, so pretty decent energy acceleration there. And then Sand Breath for 220 for 2 fighting energy and a colorless. Discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon. So it has pretty decent self-energy acceleration in that attack, Sand, and then Sand Breath does 220 before any buffs, which is also not too bad. It just seems very plain, and I'm not sure if discarding 2 energy to do 220 is worth it, because then if this Pokemon doesn't get knocked out, you're 2 energy away from attacking, and if it does get knocked out, then this Pokemon's gone, and you have to get another Santacon Devii up, and you don't have things like Metal Saucer, like Zacian V does, or Copper Rajah VMAX does, to get another one set up in a pinch. So the Colossal is a stage 2 that can accelerate fighting energy, so we do have that as an option, maybe even something like Bead. But energy acceleration is just a big worry in the standard format right now, because the decks that do have energy acceleration, or the decks that can just attack for 1 energy, seem so far ahead of the decks that have a problem accelerating energy fast enough to even stay in the game. Hopefully something will come out of Santacon Devii. I'm hoping every V Pokemon can see at least some fringe play in a deck. Last and probably not least is Double V, colorless Pokemon with 210 HP. It has the ability Soft Wool, which reduces all damage taken by 30, which is pretty nice. And then the Revenge Blast attack for 3 energy does 120, plus 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has already taken. So if they've taken 5 prize cards, they only have 1 left. You're doing 270 with for 3 energy, which is very good. I do think Double V will see play in decks that have energy acceleration, maybe Malamar decks. I definitely think Welder decks should play Double V. And then with a Big Charm attached, Double V, with a Big Charm plus its ability Soft Wool, it would take 270 damage to one-shot a Double V, which makes it actually fairly appealing to me. I've already added this to my Firebox or Abilities Art deck with a couple of Big Charms in there. So that is all 16 Pokemon V from the Rebel Clash set. I hope you are all as excited as I am to play with the new cards from Rebel Clash. If you haven't already gotten your Rebel Clash ptcgo codes, be sure to head over to potownstore.com and use code CELIO for 5% off. Make sure you follow me on Twitch and subscribe to me here on YouTube so you don't miss any of my Rebel Clash content. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.